My new course is available now. It's called Instructions to Inner Peace, Finding Equanimity and Healing Through an Organized Practice of Ho'oponopono. Now, this course is for anyone with anxiety, depression, PTSD, anger, self-worth issues, or for any spiritual seeker who wishes to raise their consciousness. Ho'oponopono, or as many people who have taken the course call it, HPO, means to correct errors. It's the ancient Hawaiian technique of cleaning unwanted thought patterns, taking responsibility for your emotions, and raising your frequency for love. I've organized it into a daily practice for you. Check out the link below or go to www.peaceoverpain.com, enter the cyber clinic, and purchase this audio course for a very affordable cost. Give it a shot, see if it's for you, and please let me know how it turns out.
Welcome to Inner Peace with Dr. Reese, a program that can help you become liberated in the modern world. Now, here's your host, Dr. Kevin W. Reese.
So, can every day really be a good day? Welcome to episode number 129. Today, I'm talking to June Archer. He's a motivational teacher, podcaster, event coordinator and host, and author of the book series, Yes, Every Day Can Be a Good Day. So sit down, relax, and take in this beautiful and valuable recording. Let's begin. June, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, brother. How you doing today, man?
I'm fantastic. Speaking of days, how can every day be a good day?
For me, I love to think about things in the present, right? Think about things from the space of appreciation. So the moment that you wake up in the morning, Dr. Reese, you have a knack of, man, somebody didn't wake up this morning, right? And when you look at it from that perspective of just appreciation and just being here from a humble perspective, you say, I'm just grateful to be here, waking up this morning, that the possibilities are endless, that I have the opportunity to, one, live my dreams, dream again, inspire others, and walk the path, maybe one that I haven't walked the day before, but just being grateful. So it's just a perspective of gratitude, just to have the opportunity to wake up in the morning, that every day can be a good day, right? The operative word here is can. Will bad things happen to good people? Most certainly. Will you stub your toe in the morning? Will you get pulled over if you happen to be speeding? Will you burn your toast if you're not paying attention? Yes, but all of these things happen because maybe we're not paying attention. Maybe we're a little too focused, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we're not going to have a bad day, or it doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to have a good day. We just appreciate the fact that we woke up, and then we just try to navigate throughout the day as best we can to, one, live our dreams, but also inspire people while we're doing so.
So gratitude is the key.
Gratitude is a must.
What's the importance of the word yes? Because
Yes,
your book is yes.
Yeah, well, actually, both of my books have yes in them. The other three that are on the way also have yes in them. It's a matter of putting an expression on whatever that you're doing, right? Even when I ask kids, when you grow up, you want to be successful, yes or yes? I'm not giving you the opportunity to say no. It's yes, you're putting a stamp of an expression on it that says, man, like, yes, I woke up, like, yeah, like, they call me the yes man. And not because I need you to tell me yes, but I want you to make it an affirmation, right? It puts something on the beginning and something on the end of something that you say, do you want to be successful? Yes. Do you want to be happy? Yes. Do you want to be healthy? Yes. Do you want to inspire people? Yes. Like, yeah, it's such a positive word. And sometimes people have a hard time saying yes because we're always trying to think about when we got to say no. We know when we got to say no, but when you're looking to dream and inspire and motivate people, and you're trying to do the same things, yes is that word that just puts an exclamation point either at the beginning of the dream or right at the end of the dream.
It's also a word that could be associated with service too, right? Like if somebody, if your wife says, June, bring the garbage out, will you? You say yes, okay. Even though you may not want to, it's like, yes, all right, I'll do it.
It's one of those words that it can change somebody's life.
Hmm.
It can change someone's perspective, change their trajectory when used in a proper fashion. So, like I said, bad things happen to good people all the time, but when you lead with humanity, yes is always a possibility.
You are one of the busiest people I've ever met. I've known you for, oh my gosh, almost 20 years, maybe.
Easily.
And you're always grinding, you're always on the go, you're always creating something. You got your hands full. How important is it to not be afraid to fail?
Most important. It's super important. I was just talking about the same perspective with some young people yesterday. And one of the things that comes with being successful is learning how to lose, right?
Mm,
Taking the L, right? As
mm,
people would say. And when you learn to take the L's in the lesson, right? People say, oh, well, it's a loss. All right, it's a loss, but in what sense, right? Did you learn something in the loss, right? I like using sports analogies. You can't get to be the best team or know how good you're doing until you take a loss to say, man, this is something that we have to work on. Man, this is something that we did well. This is something that we didn't do well. Maybe we got to work on this. Maybe we should focus on this. You never know what that thing is if you don't try to execute something, right? So you have an idea, you have a dream, you have a goal, aspiration, you have a hobby that you want to do, but you keep what people do, Dr. Reese, is they write it down. They try to come up with a game plan. They come up with a business plan, and a day has gone by, a week has gone by, a month has gone by, a year has gone by, years have gone by because they're trying to make it perfect. They're writing it down. They're trying to make it perfect. And the opportunity they have to finally do it, it fails.
mm.
Not because it was a bad idea, but because they waited so long to push the button that they never had the opportunity to figure out what worked, what didn't work, what needs to be worked on, et cetera, et cetera. Don't wait to drop an album, publish a book, start a podcast, start a business because you're waiting for the right business plan. You're waiting for the right combination of things to come. No, I like to tell people, do it dirty and clean it up later. Because at
Yeah.
that point, you know what works, what doesn't work. You know what? Now let's shift the focus. We're going to do this because that didn't work. The people don't want this. So this is what's going to work. Let's put all our energy, channel our energy, our resources on this thing or these things.
Mm.
Right? That's what happens when you learn to take some losses, that you could turn those losses into wins. But if you think that you're going to get into business, get into entertainment, get into to anything that is competitive and not take a loss,
Hmm.
I would ask you to probably just get a 9 to 5 and just punch in and punch out and get your check every other week, because that extracurricular activity may not be for you. If you're afraid to lose, if you're afraid to lose your shirt, if you're afraid to lose money, if you're afraid to fail, it is not for you.
LeBron James lost a bunch of championships.
And he's one of few.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't, we were just talking about Kevin Durant and what is his shooting percentage, right? Is he afraid to shoot? He's about 45%, right? So if he's 45%, he's one of the best NBA players to play the game. He is now top 75. The list just came out the other day. That means he has missed 55% of his shots. So if he's missed 55% of his shots and he's still considered to be one of the best, that means he's failed, but he doesn't give up. He doesn't stop shooting.
Right.
Right. So there's some utility in failing.
We have to learn how to deal with disappointment.
Well, certainly.
Or maybe if we have the right attitude, there is no disappointment. It's just a lesson, right?
It's really just a lesson based on your perspective. It's just what we talked about with having a good day, right? Yes, every day can be. Like, it's a perspective. You know what? No one aims to lose, Dr. Reese. No one says, man, today's Wednesday. I'm hoping I catch a couple of L's. Right?
Right.
Sounds crazy. But if you say, man, I can't wait to what I can learn today. I can't wait to execute what I'm doing. You hope that it works, right? You hope that your marriage works, but there are things that are going to work. There are things that aren't going to work. In this pandemic, people have realized they've caught an L. And they're like, yo, I can't be with this person, or this just isn't working out. But it wasn't that one thing was bothering you during the pandemic. You have been catching an L on that one thing for years. You just didn't pay attention to it, or you didn't want to learn from it, that you wanted to get better or heal that relationship or that friendship. So you've caught L after L after L, loss after loss, not learning a lesson. And now it all came to head, and you're like, yeah, no, I don't, Kevin, I don't like the way you snore. I don't like the fact you can't put your shoes up, or you're very sloppy. No, he's probably always been sloppy. You've always been sloppy. I don't know. Maybe you've always been OCD. Who knows?
Yeah.
But we won't know until you try to attack these things, saying, all right, so why are these things happening? Why did I lose? Why aren't I successful in this one thing? And make those halftime adjustments is what I like to call them. Yeah. When you play sports and it's not going well, what does the coach do? 20-second timeout. Let me get a timeout. Let's regroup. Let's figure it out. We're losing right now, or we're not doing well right now, which will equate to a loss. Let's figure it out, regroup, go out there, execute it the best way we know how.
Yeah, sports is always really a good metaphor for life, especially boxing. I find it to be. That's why we love Rocky Balboa, right?
That's why we love Rocky Balboa.
So, you were in the music business very early on in your life. As a teenager, you had a group, you had a deal, you ended up as an executive. I was in the music business for a while too, back in the day. It's a ruthless business, and a lot of doors get slammed in your face. Has that prepared you for all the stuff you're doing now, you think?
I was groomed by and mentored by so many amazing people that I knew that I was prepared for the doors, because you're never really prepared for a specific door. You're just prepared that these things potentially will happen. You will meet these things along your journey at some point. How are you going to react? How do you overcome? How do you get around? How do you get under? How do you get by? Right? You can't readily prepare to say, oh man, I lost a record deal, which my group did. We're on the charts one day, the next week, we're back home. Right? I can't say, hey, one day I need you to prepare for losing a record deal. You can't, but you know that at some point you're going to lose. You're going to come to have fears about something. You're going to have a no. You're going to have the doors closed on you. This is how you have to react. And what are those things? Positive. Don't give up. All those things that are so, oh yeah, that's so superficial, but it's true, right? But the music business, I would say I learned a lot of that disappointment in corporate America far before I got into the music business, or right when I'm actually getting into it, right? Working at Cigna and learning corporate business, learning how to deal with upper management, right? And what that means. And there's a lot of politics in that. There's a lot of backstabbing in that, and people wanting to get to the next level, even if it's at the demise of whoever is in their way. So I kind of already had that mindset as I was getting into the music business, having mentors like Michael Bivins, having mentors like Sylvia Rohn, Deidre Tate, Free from In Touch, Hank and Key Shockley. The list goes on and on. but you're never really prepared for it, Dr. Reese. But you know that, man, these things may happen. And when they happen, it's how do you react, right? You learn how to react, right? It's like boxing. They say everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. But how are you going to react after that punch? When that punch comes and it knocks the wind out of you, how are you going to react? Because guess what? In boxing, you know that the punch is coming. At some point, you're going to get punched.
Yeah.
That is life. But how are you going to react? How do you bounce back?
And it's going to come.
It's going to come.
There's no way around it. It's going to come.
Some of the best people we know, love, emulate, idolize, admire, they've all caught losses. But what have they done? Oprah didn't get to being Oprah by just going unscathed. 50 didn't go through it like that. Neither did Jay-Z, neither did Puffy, neither did Russell Simmons, neither did, there's so many of them, right?
Yeah.
So many of them.
Well, my favorite is Mike Tyson. I mean, that dude just turned the whole thing around.
Come on.
It took him a long time, but.
It took him a long time. And he's one that he didn't take any losses for a very long time. But we don't know what those losses look like before that.
Yeah.
Right. So it's different for everybody, but I think how you react, how you bounce back is the more important lesson that those who are watching or listening should take from this part of the conversation.
So with your busy schedule, you're going 100 miles an hour. Then all of a sudden, the night the NBA shut down, everything changed, right? The pandemic hits. We all heard the whispers, but it didn't become official until the NBA shut down that night, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then it was like, how did your life change, particularly for that first year? How did it affect you in business?
It affected me tremendously because those who know me in my business, I have an entertainment company. I have an events company. So when you talk about events and live events, none of those things were happening. So all of the events that were everything from Hot Chocolate Soul, everything from Celebration of Life, the annual birthday party that I do to raise money and awareness for AIDS and breast cancer. You talk about 100 Men of Color Black Tie Gala and Awards, the 100 Women of Color Gala and Awards, right? We're talking about hundreds, if not 1,000 people at one time in an event space. You cannot do that. It is the pandemic. Shut everything down. When you have that going on, there is no money being made.
Right.
So what happens? Even other parts of the business, doing interviews and going to the studio to do interviews, to go lecture. I had artists in residence at UConn and Eastern Connecticut State University. So you can't be on campus. Like you couldn't do anything. Students were home. Everyone was home. So now, man, I can't even go out and lecture. I can't even go out and do my motivational talking. Like I can't even do events. There's no money coming in.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do? All right, I'll tell you what happened. It was an L, right? So what do you do with the L? You got to react. So what did I do? I went and did my research. I'm trying to figure out, how do I do interviews by just being home? And I come up against this kid named Gage, who says, I'm going to launch this thing called StreamYard. Okay, I'm going to give it a shot. No one was using StreamYard at this time.
StreamYard, yeah.
And I'm on This Is 50. All the hosts that had shows that were doing well, no one was doing interviews. None of us were turning in interviews at this point for months. And I finally get this tool and I'm like, this is awesome. And I'm like, what can I do? So I connect with an actress and I'm like, maybe I could try this. It was Raven Simone. I said, Raven, can we do an interview? And we do it. It's on StreamYard. I'm like, this is cool. I added a few graphics and I turned it in to This Is 50. And they're like, hey, how'd you do this? Like, where'd you get this? Like, and I'm like, nah, I'm not sharing this. No one's turning anything in. I'm not sharing this at all. I'm going to keep this for myself for a minute. And that interview went viral because people were like, no one's doing any interviews. How did you do this? This is before everybody started hopping on Zoom. Like, it just came out of nowhere. And at that point, I said, man, I got something. And I was just calling people, hey, can I do interviews? And all I did was call, interview, set it up. And I realized, Dr. Reese, I was working on my human capital. So by the time things started to open up, so many opportunities started to pour in because I
Mm.
had already been putting in the work. Once you realize that you take the L, how do you react? It goes back to what we're saying. How do you react? And when I found this, I mean, you said the word earlier. It's a pivotal word. I said to myself, yes, I got him. Yes, I got this. I got this. Let's go.
Yeah.
And it allowed me the opportunity to continue to do even throughout the pandemic when you couldn't really be in certain spaces, and even when they opened up things and I was doing interviews, going into the office, doing these power interviews and things that there were people who weren't traveling that I still was able to interview because they would hop on StreamYard
Yeah.
because it was convenient. It looked good. They kind of saw what I was doing from the pandemic and was like, "Yo, I love what this guy's doing. I love what he stands for. Let's do it."
Yeah.
So during that time, it was tough. I wasn't making any money on these videos. Let's just be clear. I wasn't making money on these videos. But one of the things, and you and I have had these discussions over the years, how do you present your brand in a fashion where you can set it up for multiple streams of revenue, right? So you got the speaking, you have the events, you got the talking events, right? You're selling merchandise, doing all these things, but guess what? No one ever prepares you to say, hey, Dr. Reese, what happens when all of your revenue streams are shut down? What do
Mm.
you do? You got 7 of them, but what do you do? So I had to rely on, how do I push my books? Those are online, right? But sometimes I had to just push the digital version because even sending something in the mail, people didn't want it, right? So it's like shipping was an issue. But how do you make? So I just started pushing stuff, doing my things online, doing the music seminar online, uh, charging for it, doing my birthday online, asking people for donations, right? To kind of just keep going. You have to take the L's. You have to take all these situations and
Mm.
figure out how you're going to react
Yeah.
and sustain yourself, and just being money conscious, right? Financial literacy is a big piece in a lot of communities. And I've always lived by, you know, uh, I don't know if it's a Jewish proverb or not, but just kind of being able to defer certain things for a later time,
Mm.
right? Do you really need it now, right? And setting up my needs and wants, right? Yeah, I want it, Dr. Reese, but do I need it? I love Adidas sneakers. I love shell toe sneakers. Do I really need a pair of shell toes? I want them so bad, but I don't know when the next check is coming in. I don't
Mm.
know where we're going to have the next event. Let me just wait.
Yeah.
Right. So just having these mindsets in place and having the opportunity to just be disciplined and say, you know what, let me put off for a rainy day. I'm not going to go, make it rain anywhere or blow any money. Look, just really just chill and enjoy life. And for me and my family, we really just chilled, my wife and my kids, like we just chilled, had fun, played games with each other, played board games, played video games, read, uh, made up games, wrote, just having a good time, spending that time, because you'll never get this time back. These last 2 years, you'll never get this time back again.
Mm.
Let's just say, God willing, everything goes back to somewhat of normalcy, or normal, goes back to no one has to wear a mask, no one's getting sick, we're good. What did you do to spend time with your loved ones, your family, your children during this time that you could say, man, I really enjoyed it, instead of saying, man, I'm really tired of my kids and my spouse. Like this is a lot. It's a lot of time spent. I don't even think I like them anymore. Like this is a lot, right?
Yeah.
What did you do? Because time's gonna go by fast.
And also, how did you grow as a person? Because I think we've all been forced to grow. Not everyone does, but we're all forced to figure things out.
Yeah. How did you grow? What did you learn? What tools did you put in your toolkit?
Yeah.
Move forward. What hobby did you pick up? What books have you read during this
Right.
time to make yourself better, right? It's all those things, because the mental health piece comes in, right? Mental fitness comes in. Like, what did you do to really be able to function in this space while everything has been shut down?
Mm. So how do you stay grounded with all the things going on, plus a pandemic on top of it? Is it just your outlook, or is there something else? Is there a practice that we don't know about with you and Archer?
The practice is the outlook, and it
Okay.
starts from the top. It's gratitude, waking up and just saying, I'm just glad, happy, blessed to be here. When you win, you appreciate it, you keep it moving. When you lose, you take the lesson and you keep it moving, right? I don't get too overly excited and I don't get too overly disappointed. Try to stay right here because
Even
the
Steven.
reality, you got to keep it even, Stephen, because yeah, we woke up this morning. Someone didn't wake up this morning.
Right.
That is a fact. It's not even something we could debate, right?
And it could have been us.
It could have been us. It could have been either one of us. The more magic that happens is someone won't make it home today. They won't make it through the day, right? They might have woken up, but they're not going to make it through the day. And if you've made it through the day, that's a blessing. But guess what? Someone later on will not make it home.
Right.
And the cycle continues.
Right.
So you have to walk with gratitude. Yesterday, I had an amazing day. I got to speak to students from 3 different schools, from 3 totally different places in Connecticut. And we're traveling. I was just grateful to just have woken up to even be able to have the right peace of mind, body, and sound mind and body to drive to these locations and to have clarity of thought and clarity of speech to speak to these young people, to inspire and motivate them, to go from one location to the next location, to the next location, to make it home last night, only to wake up this morning. I am grateful because I picked up a newspaper, as I often do, no matter where I am, and I'm reading in the paper this morning of a 25-year-old young lady who died in a car accident over the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
She was on her way to and from on the highways and byways in life and didn't make it home. Did she know she wasn't going to make it home that day?
No.
She woke up that morning. She didn't know.
Right.
She didn't know.
No.
So we have to be appreciative in these moments. It is the moments that we take for granted that even when you're angry or you have something going on with a spouse or best friend, coworker, parent, it's just a moment. That's all it is. It's just a moment. Unless that person is of a cancerous spirit or just no good for you, it is just a moment.
Yeah.
That's all it is. And all we have in this world along this journey is just moments. You're either going to appreciate them or you're not. And if they're not good moments,
one moment goes to the next. And it just keeps unfolding moment to moment.
Moment to moment. Moment to moment. You have to appreciate those moments. I appreciate this moment with you because we haven't had so many of them. And this is a blessing to be here with you, man. This is amazing. This is amazing.
You just mentioned death. Death is a very big topic on this podcast. It's the only guarantee in this life.
It is. It is. It is.
It really is. And, the question is out there. How are you or anybody going to deal with it when it comes? Assuming it's not instant. A lot of times, most people die gradually.
Correct.
Okay. We both come from show business. So I'm automatically thinking of Norm Macdonald, who just passed away some months ago. Mm-hmm. Didn't tell anyone he had cancer. And the kid who played Black Panther.
Chad Bosewick, yeah.
Chad Bosewick, yes. He also had cancer, didn't tell anybody, and died below the radar, so to speak. Like it's not something instant, like perhaps a car accident. It's a long process that happens, and it has to take a lot of acceptance.
But I think that acceptance is the humility in those individuals. It is also understanding the appreciation for even waking up, right? What do you really have to complain about besides the pain, right? We heard about Chadwick having pain throughout this time, but he never once complained. They said that he was filming and he didn't complain. Maybe he was just grateful. Maybe the gratitude is what carried him for as long as it could, right? Death is something, it's inevitable. It is inevitable. It is a part of the journey. Is it easy to accept? Absolutely not. Are we selfish at times for those who we love who are 80, 90, 95, 100 years old? Yeah, we are very selfish because they've lived a very long time. Some of these people have lived a full life. But because of the perspective of being so selfish, we want them here. But it's going back to those moments, appreciating those moments, taking full advantage of those moments to be with these people. One of the things that really gets my goat, and there's not a lot that gets my goat. And when I say get my goat, it's really not that serious, but it really gets under my skin sometimes. That someone who hasn't seen a particular person for years, hasn't talked to them for years, and they happen to pass, and they're so broken and distraught about it. But you haven't talked to that person. You didn't really miss them. Are you really that heartbroken? If you were, you would have mended that situation, that relationship, and you have spoken to that person. Because here's what happens in those moments. The person dies a physical death, but their spirit, their essence is still with us. Like if no one ever tells you that someone passed away, you have pictures of them on your wall, they were still in your phone, the person is alive, right? You only know that they're alive. You hear about them, you think about them, you hear their voice. You can picture them, the last moment that you had, laughing, carrying on, having a drink, having something to eat, bowling, on the phone, hours at a time, just joking, right? They don't leave you, but it's creating those memories in those moments that you can have for the rest of your lifetime here on earth. That you're creating memories with other people who, when you pass, will be able to have those same memories or similar memories with you. Because it's cyclical. It is what it, and maybe I'm looking at it from a selfish perspective myself, because I witnessed a lot of death as a young person and realized, man, this is a part of life. This is guaranteed. This is what it is. You're here, you exist, and at some point,
you're gone.
You no longer exist.
That's it.
But what are you going to do with that time while you're here?
Right.
Right? Lead with humanity. Have humility. And once you realize your own humility, what are you going to do? Whether you're sick or you're getting older, what are you going to do? You have to plant seeds. That means inspire a young person. Inspire anyone that comes in your path. Share a story. Share your successes. Share your failures. That you can instill in somebody that for the rest of their journey, they can be the best version of themselves that they could be. That they in turn will do with the next person what you did with them. That's all we can do.
Yeah. So even if someone's suffering with something like cancer, they can still have a good day.
Yes.
There's that word again.
Yes.
Yes. Perspective.
It's all perspective.
So someone could just mentally wilt away in their agony and suffering, or they can just perk up and say, this is what it is. I'm going to have a good day. It's almost like a surrendering.
I truly believe that. Here's why. And I know that you subscribe to this in some form or fashion. I think you will understand this. You have to be careful what you bring in your environment. You have to be careful what you bring in your mind. Once the mind grasps a concept or a thing or trauma, it now sends a signal to the body, and the body's like, hey, so what's going on?
Yeah.
We got cancer? And not to say that you can't acknowledge that you have cancer, not to say you can't acknowledge that you've been shot or you've been cut or someone passed away. But as soon as the body has an opportunity to react, your thoughts are what fuel what the body's going to do thereafter. So people always say, oh man, oh man, oh man. Then all of a sudden they're like, I don't feel good. But you have been complaining. There's nothing wrong with you.
Yeah.
But you've been wallowing in this thing so much that your body is now reacting, because your body's saying, well, something's going on, because the mind is working overtime.
Yeah.
The mind is saying something. What's going on? Are we not feeling good? Do we hate this? Do we love? When you love somebody, you're in love with them, the levels of oxytocin, everything that's in your body is making your body feel good, because you're like, oh man, I'm in love. So the body feels good. It is the same way in reverse. So when people are mistreating you, or you're in a bad environment, you're like, man, it's just, this is crazy. It's whether you call it energy, but it's the mind telling the body that something external is going on. Now the body reacts. So how you react to it mentally, I think Chadwick Boseman is one of those people. Yeah, you know what? It's cancer. It's nothing brand new. Yeah. It's been around.
Yeah.
Guess what? People die from it. I hope if I go through these treatments, I can either stop it, I can prolong it. But the fact of the matter is, I have this thing. What am I going to do with it? I think you'll agree that he inspired people every moment that he was here. Actually, after we knew that he had this.
Yeah.
I think that's tremendous. Yeah. It's a remarkable human being to do that.
Yeah.
To let you know, no matter what you're going through, even physically, you still have the opportunity to be great, to do great things, to inspire and motivate people.
And he was in his early 40s. So we're talking, a lot of life left if there was no cancer. Yeah. What you're saying is, in my field, there's actually a syndrome for it. It's called the mind-body syndrome, where TMS, where the mind can create illness or pain in the body because people are getting stuck in these mental patterns, these thought patterns. The basis of these thought patterns are typically the B word, blaming. When we get into a victim-orientated mindset. Have you ever met someone with a victim-orientated mindset? They complain.
Yeah. They complain so much that
yeah.
And then wonder why they're not feeling good.
Yeah. Or good things don't happen to them. They don't get the quote unquote lucky break. They're always stubbing their toe, or the car keeps breaking down, right?
I want people to look at it, and the analogies are here for a reason, right? We all know if you put bad gas in your car, it's one or two things is going to happen. It's going to run bad, or it's not going to run at all.
Yeah.
Right? If you continuously put bad energy, bad food into your body, it's going to react the same way. So for optimum performance, you have to put good things in your system. If your car takes super unleaded, that's what they told you at the dealership, put super unleaded in it. If you put diesel in it, the car is done. If you put cheap gas in it that's watered down, the car's not going to run properly.
Yeah.
It is the same thing with our mind. It is the same thing with our body. We know plenty of those people. You try to pour into those people. Some people don't see the light at the end of the tunnel.
No.
Some people don't see the glass half full. Right? And everything happens in succession. Oh man, I lost my job. Oh man, my car overheated. Well, did you ever just appreciate the fact that you had a car to begin with? Did you ever appreciate that you even had a job to begin with? Because some people will complain about their job till the cows come home. And when they lose their job, Dr. Reese, they're like, I can't believe I lost my job. I was like, well, you've been complaining about this thing for quite a long time.
Right.
And now you're upset?
Yeah.
Can't have it both ways.
I had a guest on this podcast, Dr. Niebauer. He's a university professor, and he challenged his students to not complain for 1 week. And he told me he actually had students come back to him and be like, I tried, I can't not do it.
I believe it. Some people, they have to complain about something. Something.
It's a habit. It's like picking your lip or biting your nails. It actually becomes a habit.
Now, the question is, how do we reverse that for people, right? How do we reverse it? Look at people and images that are positive, and not everything is going to be great. I'm not here to tell people to everything's going to be rainbows and butterflies. Not saying that, but there are just things that they are what they are. You can't change them, right? Accept that situation, that person, or that moment for what it is and move on. That's it. But once you try to adopt that thing or
Yeah.
allow it to manifest, it's going to change your DNA in some way, shape, or form. Whether you react violently, whether you react, uh, peaceful. Like, you know what? I let Dr. Reese borrow $20. He didn't give it back to me. I see him and I saw him spend $40 in front of me, and he has yet to give me back my $20. It is what it is. All I could do is say, "Hey, Dr. Reese, can I have my $20 back?"
Yeah.
Do you know when you might be able to pay me back my $20? Right? I don't have it, and it's just a moment. Should you choose to pursue it or not, it's different. Dr. Reese, why did you step on my foot? It's just a moment. You know what? I apologize. Some people will say, "But you stepped on my foot." Okay, I apologize. But they were brand new shoes. Okay, but I apologize. It is just a moment. Sometimes we just forget in those moments that people are human and they're going to err. So what do? You forgive them and you move forward. But
Yeah.
there will be some people, Dr. Reese, a year from now,
The
I
whole
may
lot
see
of it.
somebody and I'll be like, "Can you believe Dr. Reese stepped on my?" They were a brand new pair of shoes. You've been holding on to that for 365 days. So every time you see him,
Yeah.
that's your reaction.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. Is it worth it on this thing that we call the journey of life? Are those moments worth reliving?
No,
It's going to negatively affect us.
not at all. Not at all. You got 5 minutes max, and then you just gotta just dump it, whatever it is. It's gotta go.
Gotta go. It's gotta go. It is cancerous.
Yeah.
It is cancerous. It's not something that you're going to, if you can learn the lesson and move on, beautiful. But it is just a moment. That's all it is a moment.
Our minds can create a habit fast, and at our age, we're dealing with habits from 8 years old, 9 years old, 12 years old, 20 years old, 25 years old. The older you are, the more habits you have, typically, unless you start undoing them.
Yeah. Harder to break.
So you have 2 children. How do you install this to the kids?
You live by it. You live by it. You walk and talk it every day. You walk and talk it every day, even when in those moments, because they are young people, right? They are a teenager and a preteen. They're going to have their moments, but in those moments, you have to shove the lesson down their throats, right? Why are you guys at odds with each other? What happened? Well, if you don't like the way you're being spoken to, then don't speak to anyone in that fashion. There's a lesson in there. Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Well, if you don't like that being done, or if you want help or you want to be helped, then you got to be able to help people. Take that lesson. Okay, now let's change it. Okay, so if I want help in those times when I need help, then someone will help me because I've helped someone. Not 100% true. It could be, but you don't do it because you want help. You do it because in those moments, the universe may reward you. So you do it. So it's every opportunity that I have a moment to instill. Oh man, are you really upset about that? Is that serious? I'll let it go. Nah, what did you learn from that situation? How did they make you feel? Okay, so now that you felt that way, expressed it, and you told that person, what are you gonna do now? Are you gonna let it go, or are you gonna keep bringing it up? Do you move on? Do you grow up? You took the lesson. It's living, right? I know back in the day, adults used to say, "Do as I say, not as I do." Right? Don't watch me. Watch TV. Right? No, watch me. I want you to emulate as many good things as you can from me. Am I perfect? Absolutely not. Am I human? Absolutely. But I try to lead with humanity. I try to lead with humility. I try to appreciation, um, waking up, gracious, leading with gratitude. These are the things when you teach these young people at a young age, you hope that these seeds are planted, right? My first book, Yes, Every Day Can Be a Good Day, was a book for maybe high school, college kids, definitely adults. But I realized we got to catch them early. Some adults that it's too late to inspire and motivate them. They've created these habits like you just mentioned. So how do we break this cycle? Let's start early. So I had a book called Yes You Can for the children, a children's book of inspiration, to give them inspiration and motivation at an early age, because that's the best way to catch them, right? There's no fear of anything at such a young age, right? You take a 7, 8-year-old kid and you like jump off that wall, they're gonna jump. They don't believe nothing's gonna happen to them. They're gonna jump, and adults were like, don't jump. And they don't know that you could break your leg. They don't know that you could break your neck. They don't know anything. They jump. But now to teach that to someone who's 30 or 40 years old, they're like, I don't even know if I have insurance. I don't know if I got life insurance. You think about all these things. I got to wake up tomorrow. I got to go to work. And if I break my leg, I can't drive. All these things are allowing you to not jump, to not live, to not fly, because you know too much, or you know better. But what does knowing better mean? When you're younger, you're like, yo, I'm taking chances. And you look at these young people and you're like, man, I wish I had. No, we all had that. But can you get back to that? We all had that thing where we're like, oh, no fear. Just go out and do it. Live life to the fullest. Drive fast. Party hard. Stay up late. And then what happens? We know too much. And you're like, no, I can't take that chance. Well, why not catch young people at that point to allow them to kind of have that and say, listen, even while you're living life, even when you have a corporate job, even while you're a school teacher, there's so many things you could do to live life and enjoy life.
Yeah.
You don't have to put anything on a back burner. You can still do your music. You don't have to have a record deal. You can still write a book of poetry or stories. You don't have to be a best-selling author, but you have all these things as an outlet, as a way to just have extracurricular activity to take you away from the mundane, to give you that balance. People always, oh, what's the balance? The balance is to do as many things as you can that bring you joy. Working a 9 to 5 is only a means to an end. If it brings you joy, even better. If it doesn't, when you leave that 9 to 5, from 5 to 9, what are you doing? Are you writing a book? Are you writing in your journal? Are you painting? Are you sewing something? Are you planting something? Are you working with kids? Are you writing poetry? Are you recording music? What is it that you're doing? Did you start a nonprofit? Are you working with a shelter, a soup kitchen? What are you doing from 5 to 9? That's going to balance out what you're doing from 9 to 5.
Most people are watching TV, June.
To escape reality. But guess what? It's only making them that much more angry. So you should cut it out. That's a bad gas that we were talking about. You're not going to find fulfillment unless you're taking the entertainment out of it to enjoy the entertainment piece of it. But you're not getting any enjoyment out of that housewives of whatever county.
Yeah.
The other reality shows that they are. You're not getting any enjoyment out of it. It's making you angry because you're seeing people driving in expensive cars and riding an expensive boat and wearing expensive clothes. And you're like, woe is me, or how come I can't? It's all entertainment. That's what it is. It's to be being entertaining. You see it, you're entertained, you laugh, you enjoy, cry, and you keep it moving. But it's not to be compared.
Right. Well said. Because you're not busy enough, you started a school. That's sarcasm. And so now you're providing an opportunity for kids to get into the arts, right?
Correct. Super important.
Yeah.
Super important.
Is this your legacy project?
This is my legacy project. This is half of the legacy project. The other half is the June Archer Foundation. And the whole reason behind it is I was one of those young people who was very interested in the creative arts. I was a musician. I played the violin. I went to the Hart School of Music. I played the drums. I was in a boy band. I got a record deal. Was a music executive, president of a label, A&R, music manager, producer manager. What I find is that our young people think different, move different. They are super excited about entertainment, music business. But one of the things that we're not teaching them is the business of music, where you can have a sustainable career behind the scenes. You don't have to rap, sing, produce. You don't have to sell one record and have a sustainable career. But now, how do they do that, Dr. Reese? We have to give them those combinations, right? And what do those combinations look like? You say to that young person, all right, Kevin, you like music and you like math? You ever thought about being an accountant in the music business or in the movie business? Mm. Kevin, you like to draw, you like music. You ever thought about doing graphic design and creating movie posters or album covers? Kevin, you like logistics. Actually, you even like babysitting. You like to babysit? You like music? You know, you could be a manager, right? Because that's pretty much what they do. They're babysitting artists. Mm. There's a job for you doing that. So you give these young people the combination and say, you can be successful if you put these things together. If you like sports, you like football, Kevin, and you like medicine, you ever thought about being a sports therapist on the team? And when you come out, you get a job and you keep it moving. But the reality is they're coming out getting jobs at jobs that they didn't go to school to study for. So now they have all of this student debt that they're trying to pay off at a job that they don't like. It is time to reimagine education. And with the June Archer School of Arts, that's exactly what we're doing. Teaching kids the combination, showing them that you don't have to be Jay-Z, you don't even have to be Beyonce. You could be the people behind the scenes that make it happen. Because if it's not for the people behind the scenes, you'll never hear or see the talent. All right, so we just want these kids to kind of reimagine what their future would look like based on them liking entertainment or being in a creative space and what they could do with those skills.
Right.
And giving them real world experience. We're bringing real people into the classrooms, people at record companies, people at radio stations, people that work with and manage artists, that they see it from a real world perspective and not just theory. Because a lot of things that we're teaching them, they're not learning in a book. They'll never learn in a book. And then when you get into these businesses in entertainment, some of the stuff is not in the book. You have not read that. You'll never get it from a book.
Right.
We want them to be prepared. All right. So the best way to prepare them is give them real world situations.
So as we wrap this up, where can someone find you on social media and come say hello?
You could go right to my website, IamJuneArcher.com. If you are on social media, everything is at June Archer, JUNEARCHER. I have an amazing podcast on iTunes. I have an amazing show on YouTube, but all of these things can be found and navigated directly from the website, IamJuneArcher.com. You know, I'm like the consummate networker. So for those, this is a shameless plug. If you're looking to network and you're really trying to take your business to the next level, especially during this pandemic, I have a course that I created about networking, how to network, especially during these times. Dr. Reese, I want to thank you for who you are, who you've become, and what you continue to do in your work. It is appreciated. And I don't get to say it every day. We haven't talked in a while as we've both been busy, as you've been getting smarter, going back to school and getting these degrees. I appreciate it. I love you for it. And we don't say I love you enough. Life is getting shorter. We just talked about it.
Yeah.
Death is inevitable. I don't know when we'll have this time again.
Yeah.
I don't know how long we'll have this time again, but I do appreciate you. And I want to take this moment to say thank you. I love you. Keep doing what you're doing. And I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. And I love you as well. And every day can be a good day.
Yes, it can.
Thanks for listening to Inner Peace with Dr. Reese. If this episode opened your heart, feel free to share on social media and tell your loved ones. Also, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Until next time, may peace be with you.